Welcome to Donate TV, the channel where we discuss all things project management. I'm your host, John Hyde, and today's show is called Managing Projects at Kiki Kirby Coaching and Consultancy. So I'm delighted to be joined by Kiki. She's a heart-centered business owner who works with individuals on a mission to see more joyful employees being content in their work every single day. So over to you, Kiki. Hi, great to see you. How are you?
Good. How are you, John? Thank you for having me on your TV. We speak so confidently at the very beginning. I'm sure there's a lot that I can take away from that. So hi, John, and hello to everybody that is listening in on here. Thank you for having me on today's series. That's
a real pleasure. So Kiki, for anyone who's watching, Kiki's really played a special journey in the journey of Donate. We must be well over a year ago now, where we first got together, and I shared some ideas that I've got around starting a kind of transformation project management consultancy. And Kiki, you've kind of put a rocket up my plans to get me moving on it. So I just wanted to start by saying thank you, because you're a very special part of the journey for us.
It's my pleasure, and thank you. It's been a real honor to have met you. I'll never forget the day that we very first met. It was a hot day. It was probably about 18 months ago, maybe now, and I won't forget that day. And it's really exciting. And I've said this to you offline of this too, to see, the vision that you had, and what you're doing right now, and then what's going to happen moving forward with Donate. So really, really excited for you.
Thank you. So what we're going to talk about today is, as you know, Donate TV, we have a real interest in project management, or quite simply getting things done. And I noticed when I met you that you're a lady who gets things done. So I thought, you'd be perfect for this. So I want to try and get into your mind and to share with the audience some tips for success on how they can get things done too. So I've got a few questions,
Okay.
and let's go through those. It's going to take about 20 minutes, hopefully.
Of course.
So the first one then, do you want to start actually just by giving us a little quick overview about what Kiki Kirby Consulting and Coaching is, in your own words?
So what we do is we work with heart-centered individuals, mostly professionals, in helping them to slow down, to find more purpose, to fall back in love with their work and their life. So a lot of the clients that we work with are going through maybe something significant through change, whether that be a promotion, or whether that be a grief, or whether that be a setback of health. And we help individuals to slow down, to find more inner peace, and to grow their mindsets, and to seek more purpose in their life and their work. And we're really passionate in helping people through tools and strategies and techniques to find more calmness in their day every single day, and more clarity, and more importantly, to focus on their well-being. So that's what we do on the coaching side. And then on the consultancy side, is we work with organizations in helping them bring more of a human touch to the everyday work life. So we do that through tackling retention, talent management, employee engagement, organizational development, but we bring a more human approach to that. And so why do we do all of those sorts of things? Is because I've got a background of being in recruitment, agency, startup, and in-house. And then I've also been in the HR world too, and then been in the coaching world. So got a real passion for people. As you'll see when we talk through this, I love people. I love meeting people. I love understanding people's mindsets, what they do, and so that's why we do what we do.
So I think that's an amazing mission that you're on, and
thank you.
And I love your mission.
Thank you.
And I see hopefully a lot of parallels with what our mission at Donate is, because we're all about helping people to thrive, and helping them to succeed, and helping them to get things done which maybe they've struggled to do previously. So because we love challenging projects. So I think we've both got a lot in common there, because the projects that you undertake are not straightforward projects,
No,
I think.
they aren't.
So what,
and there's definitely a space for that sort of help, because I think any project, which I know we're going to talk about shortly, needs to have a strong project plan and a strong, all of those strong foundations, which you're an expert doing what you're doing and teaching others. And I think there's definitely a space for that for business owners and businesses.
Thanks, Kiki. Okay, so can you just give us a bit more insight into your organisation and tell us about the kind of projects that you run? I know we've obviously had a bit of a pre-chat, and we've identified you've got clients that you run projects for, and you've got internal projects. So could you tell us a bit about that?
Yeah, so the client projects that we work with tend to be really bespoke depending on the client that we work with. So they could be anything from a culture change, which seems to be quite significant at the moment because of what's happened around the globe. So culture change in the way people are working, but a culture change could be around team dynamics changing. It could be anything people development wise. So the team's changed, a new team needs to be recruited in. Or turning around poor performance into high performance, or just essentially learning, empowering leaders to become better leaders, or empowering talents to be better versions of themselves, career development. So those are some of the client projects that we work with. And then some of the internal projects that we work on in developing our own business is our website and our digital side of things, our content marketing. So we constantly are looking at how we market ourselves and the content that we create online, offline. And these are some of the most recent ones that we've been focusing on, is some memberships. So in the last couple of months, I've developed some memberships, which I'm sure we'll talk about. Technology, which is just, that's where the need for like having a project manager and somebody involved is massive. Branding, our missions, so values, goals, that type of thing are some of the projects that we work on internally, and we work on those projects at least once or twice a week from an internal perspective.
Brilliant. I really love your portfolio of projects. They're the kind of projects I love working on too. You know, it's about improving organisations and helping people, like we've said already, helping people to be the best version of themselves that they can be. I think. So why don't we dig into? So you've got a real range of projects. You've got a real passion for delivery. I can see that. And so what I'm wondering now is how, with all those ideas and all that passion, and I know you've got a great team as well. How do you channel all of that and help make each project succeed? And what are your tips for project success?
No, that's a good question. So I think firstly it's about having a really strong plan in place. So we know and we're very structured with how our weeks look. So typically we don't client face every day. So I say typically, but you know, this is something definitely I've worked on a lot more since we've been in lockdown and being in this in this time right now. So and also because one of my words for the year is focus. So that's made me really channel it and be really focused. So typically we on a Monday we look at our plans and we look at our goals from an internal perspective and see what's the focus for the week, and then we would take the actions to execute whatever needs to happen. And then on a Friday we check back in to see how we've got on and then what's next for the moving forward. So the team and myself had a call earlier and we really identified what's gone on this week, what have been the successes, what are the KPIs, what needs to move into next week or what needs to move into a next month. So that's from a kind of internal perspective. And then we work at 90 days at a time. So we've got really clear 90-day plans, which are very focused on, they've got measures that we focus upon, and that feeds into a yearly plan. So we have a yearly plan that's broken down into 4 quarters. And that's how I've always worked. Even before I've had my business, I've worked like that. And I even worked like that in my personal life. And then from kind of client projects perspective is each client has a certain amount of time that it's given each week. And a lot of the client-facing delivery work for me tends to be Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursdays. Sometimes on a Friday, like today, I've done some client delivery work today, because it's just how it's happened. But I guess the key things for us is the structure, the processes, the planning, the actual 90-day goals in hand, and the discipline to make sure that they happen in that frame of time. And that's how we also educate our clients to work like that.
That's I mean, that sounds brilliant. I really I can reflect on how I run projects as well, and I think what you've described is putting in place a clear structure, and you've got we call it a rhythm battle. So we've got those weekly meetings where you battle rhythm. Sorry, get it the right way around. You have the weekly meetings where you look ahead, you agree as a group what you're going to deliver. That's your moment as well to kind of put your hand up if something's you can see that something's going to be tricky, what we call blockers, and that's your opportunity then to get those raised and try to resolve those before you head into the week and then get into difficulty partway through the week. But having those regular meetings with a clear focused agenda around agreeing who's doing what, and I think that's brilliant. One of the things that we talked about before this was the importance of play in getting projects delivered, and I wondered if you could elaborate on that.
Yeah, that's so good that you've brought that up. So I think absolutely it's important to have that time to play, and that's something I've been definitely researching a lot more of over the last year. And I think what happens is we work so much, and we sometimes so much in the detail and the delivery, but there's not enough time for creativity. And when I mean by creativity, I don't necessarily mean artistic creativity, because I think sometimes there's a misperception about that. But there's the creative thinking aspect of how do you want to begin something, or what are the pain problems in that particular situation. So I think there's not enough time for us to play, whether that be physically play as an adult, but also play like creativity play. And so what I'd encourage you to do, and this is something I've done quite recently for a community that I've got, which is called the Happy Healthy Wellbeing Community, is to write a list of 20 things that you do for fun and play. And actually I got people to do this, and they all mostly professionals in really high profile positions, and a lot of them struggle to come up with 20 things that they do to create and have fun. And so I think it's really important to have a balance in all of that. And I know certainly for me, I am my most creative self when I do a lot more play and I practice a lot more play. So with some of the corporate workshops that we do, I try and add elements into that where there is some play and there's some fun, and there's some joy and there's some love in that, so that can change your thinking and your perspective in the everyday world.
Brilliant. Yeah, I think you got me thinking now about how much play I get into the
so I would really recommend you. I would really recommend you to go and spend some time writing your list of 20 things.
I'm going to take that as some homework, definitely.
Good. Good.
And another thing that we've talked about before is around the importance of good relationships.
Yeah.
So in the projects that I've done over the last 20 years, it took me a while to realize it, but a strong correlation between project success and something that you need in place for success is good relationships. Mm-hmm. And those projects that have done the best are the ones where, it's felt really easy because we all, as a team, we get on really well. And those ones that have been difficult, when I think back, are the ones where maybe some key stakeholder relationships got tricky. So tell me about how you kind of cultivate good relationships in projects.
Yeah, good question. So how do you cultivate good relationships? I think that the first things first is be a good human, and to build a relationship authentically and to always have open communication, because that, if you do that, that then helps you for when things do go wrong, because the reality is complex, tough situations will happen. But if the relationships are built at the very beginning with integrity, with honest, with good communication, with being professional, then when you have to deliver bad news, or a situation arises or conflict happens, but it's done in the right way, then it's not going to feel as challenging if you didn't have a relationship. And something I say to so many people that I work with is, you don't know who you're going to meet on the way up on your career and the way down in your career. I've been sat in front of people who were my candidates previously, and then or they've been clients, and then I'm sat then interviewing them, or vice versa, or doing a project, or you just don't know how your paths are going to cross, professionally, and also personally. And so I would always say, lead with integrity. And make sure that you're building really strong relationships in all aspects of your life. And if that's something that comes as a struggle for you, I would go and do some personal development on, how can I build a strong relationship with people? What do I need to learn? Where's my ego playing up here? Where can I get better? What can I learn from those people around me? I always love learning from how other people also build relationships. And how they do things and how open they are. And it doesn't cost you anything to say hello to somebody, or thank you. Thank you for doing that. I really appreciate the work that you've done here. Or, do you know what, how did you do that? I'd love to know how you did that so I can learn from that.
Yeah, while you were talking, you made me think of something someone said to me once, which was, you need to invest, you need to go and help people out now and again. Even when it's got nothing to do with your job.
Absolutely.
Go and help them out so that you can build up a bit of goodwill with them, because at some point you're going to need them to help you out.
Absolutely.
And part of me finds that, I feel like, is that kind of cynical, because am I only then helping people out because I think I'm going to call in the favor again down the line? But actually I think the important thing is to try and just be helpful. And if someone's in need, then you see what you can do, but you've got to, in these tough times where we've got limited budget and time, you do have to be mindful of the balance, don't you? And if you end up going and helping too many people, you won't do your own job. So it's a balance.
It's a balance, yes. And I always say, lead with a servant heart, but also have really firm boundaries in place of, let your yes be yes and let your no be no. And if you've got a balance in all of those key areas, then you're going to know when you can help, and then you're going to know other times when you can't help.
Perfect. Okay, that's fab. And so we've talked a bit about how in your world you make projects succeed, but I think you've been working at projects long enough, like I have, to know that no matter how good you are and no matter how good your team is, things can come in from left field. Inevitably things are going to go wrong, or they're going to try and trip you up. So how do you respond when things start to go wrong on a project?
Yeah, it's a good question. And you are right, things will go wrong, but the key thing is it's how you fix them, and how you show up, and how you don't give up. And maybe this is probably a good point here is 2.5 years ago, I was diagnosed with cancer. And it was at the start where my business had been going, I think, about 3.5 years at this point. I just started 2 projects. I was doing a corporate consultancy project. And thank goodness I was able to just finish it at that point. And then I just designed my first online coaching program, and I had people joining that from America, and it was an online program. So I would say, things will go wrong, but it's how you actually rectify them. So I think for me, it's always about going somewhere mentally and physically, changing up the routine. But firstly, identify what's going wrong, and then what do we need to do to fix it? And then really, focusing on clear communication plans, being methodical, having integrity, doing it face to face if you can, but sometimes it's not always possible. And just have a human approach to those situations that will rise, and not to lose hope. And I know somebody that I admire a lot, her name's Marie Follier, she always says everything is figure outable. And I think that's the really important thing, is things will go wrong. Sometimes you may have to change the deadline. I know there's been certain projects I've worked on since I came back to work. There was one that I just started doing before cancer, which was both our brandings for my corporate and my coaching was all under one, but I'd always planned to separate them all. And that was work we started before my cancer journey. And so we had to pick that work back up when I came back. And we worked with a number of key experts in this space. And I wanted to launch it at a certain date. It wasn't quite ready then. And then we eventually, actually, it's its year's anniversary on the 11th of June now, actually coming up. So it's about working together with the partners that you need to work with. And it's okay if the date moves, or it's how you respond to that, but also it's how you then also respond to the changes that need to happen. So if something isn't working and you aren't getting this level of service that you're needing, then it's also about having some very bold conversations about working out what's not working and what needs to change. And if it can't change, then it's about ending that business relationship or ending that project and move on to something that is more powerful or that is more in line or in purpose with what you need to do.
Yeah, I think that was something that struck me while you were talking. Was I was thinking, okay, what are the really terrible projects that I've experienced over the years? And when I look back now, I think some of those projects, maybe I kept going, or maybe the project sponsor or the senior person kept going when clearly things were very badly wrong. And we continued with the project, we persevered, we spent money, we burnt morale. And when, with hindsight, you realize actually that the right thing to do would have been to stop it.
Yeah, and we do that quite regularly, actually. So I know last year we looked at how many different technology programs we were using and things that we were buying. And I think, it's a blog that's on our website, you can go and have a look at. And I think the team worked out we were using probably 16 different things, where in actual fact we didn't need to use all of those. Anyway, one of them was an online portal diary that we use, which accesses things more for my coaching. Anyway, so we've spoken about this, we've spoken about it, we've spoken about the functionalities, why is it work, why we should keep it, why we shouldn't keep it. And it's only been in the last 2 weeks we agreed as a team we have to change it because we're not getting the functionality that we need. And so we've become a lot more braver. Well, I say me, I'd probably say more my team are very good to say, I don't think we're getting what we need from that, or do you know what, we're using too many things here, we need to make some changes. And I think for me, sometimes it's the behind the scenes of what we have to do to make that change. So that's where you need a good project support team behind you. One of the ones we've just changed around now in the last less than a week, which is good. So I think continually having those conversations to say, do you know what, why are we using this and how is it supporting us? That's really good. The fact that you've got the I think there's a sort of organizational maturity thing going on where when you're all new and you're a new team, maybe you don't have the relationship yet to be able to have those really frank conversations. But it's I think your organization has gone through that threshold where you're able to be really open and honest with each other, which just benefits the business. That's something I strive with the clients we do work with is culture comes from the top. And so if you want to drive change with your people, you have to create that open and honest environment. And we've got one client that we did work with, they're a retained client we did work with last year, and there wasn't always open and honesty within their organization. And now there is. Everybody's very open and honest. And that's what I empower my people, my internal team to have, and the associates that I bring in to, if you don't like something or we need to make a change, is you've got to have a voice. And I think it's really important in any project for everybody to have a voice of their views. And it might not be that every view is taken, but if people are able to be open and honest and have that space to speak openly, it's about us being open, because we've all got different personalities, we've got all different experiences, and some of us might not be able to see views of the detail that we need. I know for me, I'm not I hate the detail of things, but as a business owner, I've had to learn the detail because that's what projects are, that's where you get through things. So I've had to hone that skill and that talent in me. But I also know that I've got a team behind me that can keep me leveled up with that. And then vice versa, we balance each other up with the bigger thinking of things.
And another thing I was thinking was about personal resilience, because
Yes.
you'll know as well as I do that running a business and running projects and running programs and all these things are not straightforward. And you're going to have good days and you're going to have bad days. And one thing I read recently was the most kind of useful thing that you can bring is a calm mind.
Yes. Oh, where did you read that one? I like that one. The most useful thing you can bring is a calm mind. I love that.
And I've had to keep saying that to myself so many times, because
so good.
because projects have this way of sometimes pushing your buttons, and you can feel the blood rising, and you can feel yourself, your cheeks flushing, and you're thinking this is horrendous. But if you can respond in a calm way, and maybe just sit on it, don't react immediately.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, so we're nearly out of time. Time flies when we're having fun,
you're having
doesn't it? But we've got two more questions. So thinking about success now. So the project, you know, you've worked in your project team. They've gone the extra mile. They've done everything for you. You've called the right shots and you've succeeded. How do you what do you do for your team in that scenario, Kiki?
Yeah, so I think the really important thing is you celebrate as you go along. And I think that's one thing that I've definitely noticed. I'm a natural high performer, and a lot of the clients I tend to work with are also natural high performers. And I think we don't celebrate enough. We don't look at our achievements enough. And that's something certainly over the last 8 years, I've practiced a lot more of, is being content with where you are right now. So I'd definitely say the first thing is you celebrate as you go along, and you don't just celebrate at the end. And I've been part of projects where you only celebrate at the end. And for me, it's about celebrating every step, every success that happens, the goods and the bads. Lots of thanks and praise. You know, it's one of the fruits of the spirit. Gratitude is so important. It doesn't cost you anything to say thank you to somebody, or hello to somebody, or thank you for providing me with that information on time, or thank you for sending that email, or would it be okay if you get this to me at this urgently? I need it today because of the stakeholder report I have to write. Or it could be something like a gift or financial report, but again, depending on the right situation and the relevance for that. But it also could be celebrating a lunch or a dinner. I know last year, one thing I did for my team was I took them to a self-love conference as a celebration, and that they really enjoyed that, because it was something a bit different. It was a surprise. They didn't know we were doing that. And I think just finding out what would motivate the person enough. And again, if you've built that relationship with your team or your people at the very beginning, you'll know. I had a barbecue last year for my team and their families. Now, that was just a thank you for just all the great work that they did, and it was lovely because they brought their families and it was fun. So it's making sure that you do reward your team. I've worked in projects and organizations where people are never thanked, or they're never rewarded, and you're not going to get good people performance by not doing that.
Yeah, that's I can't agree more. I find it so sad when I think there's nothing sadder almost in the corporate world than a high performing team that delivers great results, and then they just get pushed on to the next thing, and there's no sort of pause, and there's no exactly. So I obviously try to avoid that.
Yes, absolutely.
So to finish off, I'm really interested in your thoughts on the future of Kiki Kirby, because I know you're a powerhouse of ideas and enthusiasm, and I'm really curious to hear what lies in the next year, 2, 3, 5 years for Kiki Kirby.
Yeah, it's a really good question. And actually, when I knew that question was coming up, and I know we had spoken about that question, it really got me thinking about, oh my goodness, like what is it that we're really focusing on? And I think something certainly for me over the years, like I said, that high achiever in me, you know, I've had times where I've been working on maybe like 10 or 20 goals at a time. And that's been great. And a lot of the time I've smashed a lot of those goals and really grateful for that, but that's been at the detriment of my health. So my cancer, you know, my burnout 8 years ago really got me to change the way I was doing things, and even my cancer journey forced me to make changes in those areas. So certainly now at any point in time we tend to work on only 3 to 5 things at a time. And I would say the 5 is absolute maximum. And even as I look at my board right now, there's only 3 things that I've really focused, that I've been focusing on. So I think for me, certainly in the next 90 days, or even within the next 6 months, is certainly these key projects. So the first one is I've created 2 communities and memberships. So there's one which is called the Happy, Healthy, Wellbeing Community. And that's focused on those, I guess, 4 key areas. And it's a monthly membership, so really growing the numbers for that. And then I've also got one which is a heart-centered business coaching mentorship program. And that's a weekly teach and then coaching once a month. So really driving the numbers for that and bringing the right people into that. So people who are heart-centered, who are wanting to create change. So there's that. And then the next 2 are pretty significant. So I wanted to have a podcast for forever, which I think we've even probably spoken about this, but I think for me, it's been identifying a name for it and what would it look like. And I've got the vision, and we were meant to do it when I came back from work from cancer, and we were meant to do it last year, and we were meant to do it in December, but it just wasn't the right timing. But it is definitely in the plan for July, August, September. So that's the next big thing. And so if any of you feel inspired to send me a name of what you think it would be, and if you want to be interviewed, we would absolutely love to interview you. So John, you'll be somebody I'd love to interview. And I think I'd said that to you. That's how it had started, maybe the conversation. So create our podcast. And then the other thing, so I'd definitely say this, for obviously continue what we're doing anyway. And then the other 4th really big one is I've got a mastermind which is called the Happy Recruiters. So because I do a lot of stuff still in the recruitment world, and I've got something which is called the Happy Recruiters program. And so there's a lot of work and partnering that we're doing with a number of people in the industry. I'm hoping to reach the market in the US, the market in Canada, the market in Australia with that. We're just about to start working with somebody in the US who is going to help me and the team really take that into another level and another project. So I'm very excited about that. And I'm not quite sure where that's going to go. I have a feeling, and from the conversations I've had, I think it's got a lot of legs and it's got a lot of success in it. So that's one thing I'm super excited about.
I'm so glad I asked you that question, because I can just feel the positivity and the energy and the excitement coming off you. And that's what I love about you. Every time we spend time together, I come away feeling something rubs off on me. And I think it's enthusiasm. It's so yeah.
John, I'm so pleased.
I'm as excited about your future as you are. I think it sounds amazing.
Thank you. And I'm excited to be on this journey in business and life with you too, John, because I think, definitely every business needs somebody to help them execute projects. So for a lot of what I've shared today and what we do, I know I wouldn't have been able to have done without outsourced help. There's no ways I would have had that skill or that talent to do that. So everything we've done up to now, we've brought experts in, and we've outsourced that skill, or we've outsourced that talent in order to make the project be successful.
Oh, that's kind of you to say. I'm not very good at marketing myself, but I do I do have a real passion for getting things done, and I hope that comes across. And if anyone watching wants any help with getting things done, particularly people and technology projects, I'd love to have a conversation.
Yeah,
so
definitely, I
so
highly recommend John.
Thank you. So that's it. That's our half hour. So I just want to thank you so much, Kiki, for coming on. You're a superstar. Before we close, do you want to just tell the audience, if they'd like to connect with you, how they can do that?
Yeah, wonderful. So thank you. And thank you for having me on here and listening to us for the last half an hour. And I hope to be back in due course and to be invited back. So you can connect with me on LinkedIn. And my name on there is Kiki Stanton. And you'd be able to follow our consultancy page and our coaching page on there. Or you can find us very active on Instagram. So either at Kiki Kirby Coaching, and Kiki Kirby Consultancy, and then the same as Facebook, Kiki Kirby Coaching and Kiki Kirby Consultancy. What you'll notice on all of those platforms is they all vary 3 different audiences. So the messaging is slightly different. What we put out there is slightly different, but we would love to connect with you on any of those platforms. Or alternatively, you can check us out on our website. So either thehappyrecruiters.co.uk, kikikirbycoaching.co.uk, or kikikirbyconsultancy.co.uk.
Amazing. I'd really encourage people to connect, because yeah, Kiki's a great person to connect with. So I'm John from Donate. If you'd like to join us on a future episode, if you'd like to answer some of the questions like Kiki's taken on, then I'd love to hear from you. Thank you all for watching, and until next time, goodbye.
Goodbye, everybody.